Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Arke's webinar, How to Succeed in Clearing 2020 Using COVID-19 Digital Trends. The session will last about 45 minutes, and there'll be opportunities to ask the speakers questions at the end. So use the chat function throughout if you have any questions or queries. So we'll kick things off by introducing you to our speakers for today's webinar. My name's Georgie, and I'm an Education Account Manager here at Arke. I'm going to be joined by two of our digital experts, Brendan O'Connor, who's our Senior Paid Media Analyst, and Joe Christopherson, who is a Research Analyst here at Arke. So who are Arke? We provide expert digital marketing services to the education sector. Our mission is to make marketing transparent and uncover the truth in your data. We turn data into strategy and stories into campaigns. Creative and digital experts, we integrate the off and online world to produce impactful customer experiences. In 2019, we provided research, analytics, data science, creative and media services to a quarter of the UK education sector. From this work, we create benchmark and insights reports, which help to guide education institutions with their marketing. Since lockdown began in the UK, our data analysts have been busy compiling and analysing data from our campaigns, clients, media and technology partners, think tanks and students, leading to our recent white paper and this webinar to help higher education institutions understand what normal looks like in this current climate and moving forward, and to help develop and deliver marketing strategies that will lead to success in clearing 2020. This webinar will explore the research carried out between the 14th of March and the 14th of June 2020. The aim of this session is to bring our recent white paper to life. We'll be exploring the digital trends that have emerged since the UK went into lockdown, drilling down into the reasons why and offering suggestions about how you can take advantage of these shifts. The three key takeaways from this webinar will be: COVID-19 has had a huge impact on the digital behaviours of students. This webinar will cover the significant shifts in the digital advertising landscape that we have witnessed since lockdown began, and offer recommendations about which platforms to focus on. There has been a substantial increase in traffic and engagement on social media channels and video streaming platforms, with Instagram and YouTube seeing huge increases. We'll explore the reasons why and advise how this should factor into your content strategies. Understandably, COVID-19 has had a huge impact on the decision-making of undergraduate students. The session will explore how you can be informative, helpful, and stay relevant in the minds of prospective students in the run-up to clearing 2020. So, over to you, Brendan.
Thanks, Georgie. So, firstly, we're going to explore the impact COVID-19 has had on organic activities such as web traffic, before moving on to the systemic shifts that we've seen in digital advertising, the digital advertising landscape. So, the key takeaways. From the research we've conducted and from what we've seen across our client base, COVID-19 has had a significant impact on organic traffic, email in particular rising to the top. Digital marketing has always been a game of follow the attention, so we should always ask where our prospects are and what platforms they're spending the most time on. Paid social is vastly underpriced at the moment, but engagement is up, so this is a big opportunity. We'll also explain how you can succeed with an advertising strategy on Google Display this summer if you have a well-defined placement strategy. So, what we've seen since lockdown began. Overall, the education sector has seen a 5% drop in traffic since lockdown began. However, our higher education clients have witnessed a 15% increase in traffic from the UK. We're putting these key driving factors of this increase through COVID-19 down to content and engagement strategies plus conventional digital marketing. However, we have seen a substantial drop in international traffic, up to 30%. This underpins the expectation of greater focus and pressure on UK recruitment, with international taking a bit of a backseat at the moment. At the beginning of lockdown, coronavirus-focused landing pages received a large amount of traffic. However, these landing pages are now visited less frequently.
How popular were those pages, Brendan, compared to the other pages on the university site?
So we actually saw the coronavirus information pages constantly ranking in the top 3 landing pages across most of our education clients. So they were gaining a lot of traffic. With a large switch to email for lots of students going to that specifically to get their coronavirus kind of bulletins, this is definitely a key trend. We've seen email traffic increase of up to 260%. So it's imperative that you have an email marketing strategy at the heart of your marketing strategy this summer. So how has the digital landscape changed since the start of the UK, since the UK went into lockdown? So I know there's a lot of information on this slide, so I'm just going to pick out the most important kind of relevant changes that you guys can take advantage of. So we've identified the top 5 paid media channels which have witnessed the largest changes within Gen Z since the beginning of lockdown. We've analysed campaigns across all of our clients to fully understand how coronavirus has impacted consumer behaviour and brought about these changes. So let's start with search. So we've seen that demand has decreased throughout lockdown, which has impacted impressions and clicks. But with competition rising, we've seen a hike in average CPCs.
For our brand campaigns, Brendan, our average CPCs come in at around 30p, isn't that correct?
Yeah, so the average CPCs on this slide obviously showing that Google search has increased by 52.27. Obviously that's a significant change, but to put it in perspective, we generally see average CPCs around 30p for a brand search campaign. So that's only a rise of up to around 45p. So although it's significant, it's not huge. So yeah. Despite this though, we're still seeing really kind of like consistent average click-through rates. Basically what this means is the intent's still there, it's just not in the volumes that it was previous to the coronavirus. So what can you guys do to curb these rising average CPCs? So to curb those rises, the main thing I'd suggest is to monitor your relevancy scores and ensure that you're matching your adverts to your audience's search intent.
Do you want to expand slightly on that, Brendan?
Yeah, so a relevancy score is a score that Google Ads gives any keyword that you include in a campaign. Basically what that is, it kind of deems how relevant the keyword you're targeting is to the content on your landing page. So if you've got a low relevancy score, Google Ads will penalise you in the form of higher average CPCs because you're not really matching the intent of what people are searching for. So what we'd recommend to do is pause these keywords which have low quality scores and also pause any keywords that have a low click-through rate. You can also utilise site links extensions which reflect what the user is searching for, and also call out extensions to highlight key messages you want your prospects to know. So we've had quite a lot of success of including these the Corona kind of information landing pages in the site link extensions, just so prospects can easily find the information your kind of institution is putting out around what is going on with Corona, and they can find obviously any key messaging around that. And in terms of Google Display Network, there's still opportunities here. However, now more than ever, it's essential to ensure that you are implementing brand protection measures. So negative keywords and also monitoring what placements you're using, just because it's quite easy to appear against negative, obviously Corona kind of content, which kind of damage your brand. We're also seeing a massive increase in engagement and a reduction in CPCs on Instagram and Facebook, which means it's an excellent opportunity at the moment.
Brendan, so we know that Facebook has always been popular with parents and guardians. Are these platforms still being utilised by those influencers and parents, and should they definitely be included in marketing strategies for that demographic as well?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're seeing all users of all ages spend more time on social. So these decreases in the cost of advertising on Facebook and Instagram makes it a great way to target parents of students that are looking to go to university and nurture them into kind of enrolling. So like positive kind of like safety messages around what the child can expect when they turn up to university on the first day will definitely increase the amount of people you have to enroll on the first day of university. The audience is definitely on Facebook and Instagram. So the research we did showed that people of all ages are spending more time on social, but there's less competition on these platforms because lots of institutions are pausing campaigns and kind of like pushing them back because of coronavirus. But also more people are spending more time on these platforms, which means there's more opportunity to advertise to them, which means there's less competition, which brings down the price. So I definitely put Facebook and Instagram at the top of kind of any media plan which is going out this summer.
Yeah, and obviously Facebook has been in the news a lot at the moment. Therefore, it's important when you choose Facebook or any media placements that they are aligning with your brand values, which is really important, that your values shine through on everything that you're putting out as an institution.
Yeah, definitely. We'd recommend combining high relevancy marketing lists and refined messaging with slightly higher bids to engage maximum exposure and maximum engagement across Facebook and Instagram. YouTube is another platform that's also seen phenomenal performance across all key metrics during coronavirus. So placements have seen a huge increase in viewership, with traffic up 15% on average. So lots of people are spending more time watching long form, short form content on YouTube. So it represents a much kind of bigger audience that you're able to reach on that platform. We also normally see YouTube as a premium platform, but we are actually seeing average CPCs down by 78.21%, which obviously is a massive decrease. So it's a platform there's a lot of opportunity there.
To put that into perspective, we've seen a dramatic decrease for our clients, haven't we, on the platform, Brendan, through the strategy we've put in place. I believe there is little as 28p.
Yeah, so we normally look for an average CPC for YouTube would normally be around £1, but we're actually seeing them down to about 28 pence at the moment, which is obviously really, really good. Cool. So to summarise, COVID-19 has left a shift in what consumers are looking at, what they're consuming, and kind of where they're consuming it. It's important to ensure this summer, especially, that you develop an email marketing strategy that meets the needs of students. So it's a great way to get out key information around Corona and kind of what they can expect, anyone who's enrolling this September. I'd say paid social is the way to go this summer. So there's less competition, lower average CPCs, higher click-through rates, and lower CPMs. So investing in Facebook and Instagram and YouTube is a good way to go for all of those. Also as well, obviously, lower average CPCs means you're going to get a stronger return on advertising spend. So it's obviously definitely to bear in mind. Although Google Ad Network has performed poorly in comparison to paid social, it's still vital that you utilize it, just with some subtle tweaks like we mentioned before. So negative keywords to ensure that you're not appearing against any kind of any bad content or anything that might damage your brand reputation. And user intent is still there. It's just not in the numbers we previously saw. So it's really important to utilize those passive advertising kind of methods as well as Google search. Well, now I'm going to pass on to Joe, who's going to speak about the consumer behavior behind all this and what we're seeing in these shifts.
Hi there. Yeah, my name's Joe. So we saw a lot of these behavioural shifts happening in the media, and we really just wanted to understand the intent behind them. So our research department, working with our HE clients and partners, surveyed hundreds of undergraduate applicants over around a month in May 2020. And we looked at applicants across a range of subject areas and geographical regions. And we just really wanted to hear from them what their needs are right now and how they're being satisfied. So in this section, we're going to cover the importance of a video-first social media strategy, especially in the run-up to clearing 2020. And we're going to find out what content students want to see more of from their prospective universities. We're also going to see the things that undergraduates are worried about, how they're worried about the future of their education, and see how this is impacting their decision making. So firstly, we asked students to rank the social media platforms based on which they have used the most since lockdown, sort of mirroring what we've seen in the increased activity and engagement. Instagram has been the most used social media platform amongst prospective and existing students, followed by YouTube, Snapchat, and Facebook. It's important to take these findings into account when deciding which social media platforms to focus on over the coming months, especially when planning clearing and summer campaigns. What's really interesting is TikTok has been the 5th most used social media platform since lockdown began. It scored just 1% less than Facebook, so it is really growing. It's getting bigger and bigger. In Q1 of 2020, TikTok received 315 million downloads, the most app downloads in a quarter ever, and it's reached more than 2 billion downloads globally.
Joe, do you think that the platform will suffer after the ban that's been just imposed by India? The country has been the biggest driver of new TikTok downloads with 666 million installs since 2017. Is the future ambiguous, or like with Facebook after the Cambridge Analytica scandal, will it thrive in other markets which universities should focus on?
I think definitely there are concerns there, but really the audience is still there, and I don't see it going away anytime sooner. I think once again, your brand values need to be considered when choosing placements, and balance that with performance and the ability to meet targets, because it is a very, very strong platform, but there are some controversies around it recently. So when looking at why students use these top-rated platforms, 72% of students surveyed use these platforms for entertainment, and 61% of them used it to keep in touch with their friends and family, followed by 29% of students who use the platform just because everyone else is. And the reasons sort of fluctuate from platform to platform, so it's essential to have a different content strategy to serve the needs and wants of Gen Z on each of these platforms. Students primarily have been consuming entertainment-based content on social media, but this is followed by news and how-to guides. This is a pattern we've seen throughout the lockdown, a large increase in this kind of informative, interactive content. This should be kept in mind when planning content strategies. As the UK sort of continues to ease out of lockdown, we advise to meet the students' needs and build relationships and that kind of trust by giving content that is informative, but still provides that entertaining experience. In terms of video streaming, Netflix is the most used by 42% of students, and YouTube is the most used by 30% of students. They've by far been the most popular video streaming platform since lockdown began. The high use of Netflix probably corresponds with people spending more time in their homes and therefore consuming more TV, rather than being out of the home where they consume video content on their mobile devices. We do expect this to change as lockdown eases. Once again, TikTok ranking highly, third most popular video streaming platform, above the more established platforms such as Instagram TV and Twitch. Despite this, long form content, more than 10 minutes, has been king during lockdown. Short form content, less than 1 minute, has been least popular. Again, we expect the gap to decrease as the UK emerges from lockdown and people are more out and about. So, looking at how students interacting with the universities and their coronavirus policies in the lockdown, undergraduate applicants have turned to emails to consume information about their educational institution's coronavirus policy. 53% of students surveyed have used emails the most, followed by websites and social media. Many institutions and organisations, they do place a great deal of emphasis on social media, but as Brendan mentioned, don't forget about email marketing. It's being used a lot more, especially during lockdown, and it is a trusted source of information for many students. And it's an effective way to drive engaged users to your website, where you can place more detailed content. Students stated that the primary reason for using their preferred channel was because it's a trusted source. So 75% of students who used emails most often did so because it is a trusted source. Whereas those who use social media most often have done so for the live updates, and that the information is more up to date. So there's definitely different strategies of putting across information along those two different channels. So the student room reported a really large increase in traffic to their website, but despite that, it did come last when asked where students discussed issues around coronavirus amongst themselves. And for most people, this was Facebook Messenger and WhatsApp, the two most popular platforms. From this, we're advising universities to control the message and drive reliable information where conversations are taking place, and to offer one-to-one contact via these channels, so students can really easily access support on a platform they're using a lot. We then looked more at student needs. So 47% of prospective students want to see information about how their application will be affected, and 23.5% of students want to know more about their plans upon arrival. Wanting to see content about student life did score highly as well. We want to ensure that you are communicating every change to policies and application processes to potential students. One easy way to do this is create a what to expect upon enrolment pack that can be sent to prospective students. Messaging can influence a student's decision to study at a specific institution, especially now. So it is vital to support this content with social media videos highlighting experiences that portray student life virtually. We then moved into exploring what effect COVID-19 has had on students' decision-making. So 78% of students are worried about the impact that coronavirus will have on their education, which is a sizable amount, and it is understandable. So you need to ensure that your messaging is sympathetic to these worries and informative, meeting their specific needs and just wanting to allay their fears and make them more comfortable.
And with this in mind, we would recommend running specific messaging in different markets. So given the current climate, each market has their own experiences and worries that stemmed from the pandemic. And the campaign messaging ideally should address those. As I know, Brendan, we are running these types of campaigns currently for our clients, and I know we're seeing a good response. But do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, so specific messaging on a market per market basis is really important and generates much higher engagement than just using the same messaging for all markets, because obviously lots of different markets are at different stages in terms of corona. So it's important to kind of acknowledge that and kind of tailor messaging towards that.
Yeah, definitely, and just keep providing detail and clear content. Just keep providing it, and use this as a nurture strategy for paid digital campaigns. Students they want information about how their application will be affected and what to expect in the new academic year. So you really need to ensure that you serve these messages in these uncertain times, really. So coronavirus has also led to 35% of prospective students making decisions about which university they want to study at sooner. Coronavirus has sort of shifted the traditional timings, and a substantial amount of students are making these decisions earlier in the calendar year. We really want to ensure that you're communicating true and appropriate messages to prospective students, and that you nurture priority applicants, and just be on call to answer queries and help reduce their anxiety and to reassure them. So to summarise this section, social media is on the rise, but don't just jump on the bandwagon. Ensure you are tailoring your content to what they're consuming. Be informative, be entertaining, and really we suggest video first. This is a very uncertain time for students. They're looking for more guidance and informative content from their prospective universities, which is linked to the fact that the vast majority of them are worried about the future and are making decisions sooner. So ensure that you are allaying these fears and are in their minds through content, advertising and support. Thank you. I'm going to hand you back over to Georgie, who's going to look at some recommendations for oncoming campaigns.
Thank you, Joe. So to support the education sector, using the learnings from all of this data, insight and research we've developed from some top line actionable recommendations allowing you to plan your messaging, content, media strategies for the upcoming 2020 clearing period. We'll explore these more in detail here. The top line, so one, informative messaging is crucial at the moment, and in the run-up to clearing, it is an uncertain time and students are looking for that clarity and guidance even more so than ever. Two, with engagement up across video streaming platforms, now is the time to develop a long-form video content strategy that serves this messaging. Three, Go where your audience is and focus on paid social, but consider up-and-coming ad platforms too. It is important that you address the needs of the applicants, as identified in the research within your messaging. Agree the top 3 messages that you want your audience to know this summer. We recommend focusing on learning experience information, including campus safety, support information, and the student social experience. Now more than ever, prospective students have the time to consume the content that you are creating. However, it's imperative that this content serves a need. Based on all of our research, we recommend the following. In terms of social media, implement a video-first strategy, focusing on traditional platforms such as Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube, but produce content for TikTok too. TikTok is an untapped platform for educational institutions. This is the next generation to make use of Instagram Live or engagement and to answer queries and allay concerns of prospective students in live Q&A format. With regards to video, develop a long-form video content strategy that contains examples of lectures and seminars being delivered virtually or social distance. Produce video content which shows how your institution will attempt to maintain the student lifestyle in a virtual world. And in terms of informative content, it's vital that you produce content which highlights the safety precautions your institution is taking and deliver this through static imagery and easily digestible videos. We also suggest sending prospective students activities and tasks to help them prepare for September and deliver regular email communications in the form of newsletters and bulletins. As we've seen, email marketing has really come into its own in the last few months. With brands withholding advertising budgets due to coronavirus, the current climate offers excellent opportunities to reach new audiences and nurture existing ones. We recommend investing your advertising budget in YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. These platforms should form the core part of your digital media advertising strategy. However, as the market is becoming more competitive, expand your channels to gain a competitive advantage by using TikTok. The platform is gaining users at a phenomenal rate, and it is a relatively untapped advertising channel. Utilising paid ads across this platform will spark organic viral activity as well. Universities need to remember that the generation on TikTok are incredibly creative and are consuming the creativity of others at an incredible rate. If universities' content strategies do not match this creativity and excite these Gen Zs, then they may not even consider your university. You need to put yourself in their shoes always. Brendan, we've been running some TikTok campaigns recently. What's the landscape looking like currently?
Yeah, so TikTok's an interesting one. As like a, it's comparable in terms of engagement to Instagram, but when we first ran our first campaign, I expected the average CPCs to be quite like priced at a premium, but we're actually achieving really, really low average CPCs at the moment and really good engagement. Because there's not that many advertisers on the platform at the moment, I think kind of the people that use TikTok and like Gen Zs aren't that used to seeing ads, so they're really engaging with them. Whereas on some platforms in maturity like Facebook, people obviously are so used to seeing ads, they sometimes just blur them out. So really good engagement and really low average CPCs at the moment. So definitely worth taking advantage of.
Thanks, Brendan. So to summarise our top recommendations for messaging, content and advertising this summer. 1, be informative. Serve appropriate, insightful and useful content at the right time in the student's application journey. 2, develop a long-form video content strategy. And 3, take advantage of the huge increases in engagement and decreases in costs and focus on paid social. So in conclusion, to reiterate what we've been going over in the past 30 minutes, these are the 3 key takeaways from our webinar. The digital advertising landscape has changed significantly. The rise of paid social cannot be ignored and should form the core part of your advertising strategy this summer. Take advantage of the emerging trends in social media as a result of COVID-19. With video consumption seeing a significant increase, your social media content strategy should be video first. Be informative and helpful with your content in the run-up to clearing 2020. This is an uncertain period of time, and the decision-making of students has been significantly affected. And finally, thank you for attending our webinar. We hope you found it useful and insightful. And if you're struggling to find out what normal looks like this summer, we're giving away a limited number of digital advertising health checks. to help you benchmark against industry standards. So, and if you have any last minute clearing needs or want to discuss your plans and budgets that come into place on the 1st of August, or have any questions about any of the research, then please email hello@arkeagency.com or call us on 01273 041 111. But lastly, I can see as we have been talking that some questions have come in. So let's start from the top. Right. So we have one here, which is for you, Joe and Brendan. How many students did you speak with, all UK-based or a mix?
We spoke with over 800 students, and they were all UK based, from around the UK.
Thank you. Does anyone else have any other questions at all? Okay. How are you sure that applicants are looking for long-form video content in terms of university advertising material versus long-form video content for entertainment purposes? Fantastic question. Brendan?
So the survey which we conducted kind of looked at basically had sections in terms of entertainment and also in terms of kind of university information. So we did ask both questions in terms of both purposes, and the kind of like the majority of answers we got back said that students were actually like consuming long form content directly from universities. But we also asked the question in terms of entertainment purposes, and that's where we got Netflix and things. So we are confident that they are consuming content from long form content from universities for kind of informational purposes rather than entertainment.
Fantastic. Okay, you're very welcome. We've got another question. So Brendan, this is another one for you. Sorry.
Today.
With COVID-19 and the impact on international recruitment, can you suggest a strategy to target UK students this summer?
Yeah, so I think the strategy, especially for this summer, is all about nurturing current prospects. So you should be looking to utilise email to obviously inform students of kind of any relevant information they might need come September, any crucial info and bulletins. So you should be utilising email for that. And then also utilising social to nurture those prospects and make them feel like they've got all information they might need. If they've already applied, kind of that kind of like messaging, which is making them feel confident about coming to like joining in September. So I'd utilise remarketing for that kind of thing. So social first, but also organic email strategies are really key for that as well.
Thank you, Brendan. Do we have any more at all? Of course, yes, you may have a copy of the presentation. We will be sending this round. We have another question here. We'd be interested in exploring advertising on TikTok. How does it compare to Instagram in terms of performance?
So I'll take this one. So for TikTok, it's in terms of the ad formats, it's very similar to an Instagram story ad format, the main in-feed format they have on TikTok. It also generates similar engagement. So at the moment, we're looking at average click-through rates of about 0.6, but obviously much lower average CPCs. So at the moment, we're looking at around £1 or 90 pence average CPCs on Instagram. We've got a couple of campaigns running on TikTok at the moment that are achieving average CPCs of 40 pence. So it's a lot cheaper, but similar in terms of engagement and how it looks in terms of format.
Just seen another question about international research. Yes, so even though the research was UK based, they were also international students that we surveyed as well. So from that point of view, it was UK students and international, but UK based. So we will be looking to do more reports. So it's really, really crucial that we get feedback after this webinar, for example, from you to tell us exactly what your needs are, so that we can put the efforts into creating the right piece of content for you and research as well. Okay, we've got one more. With Google search being a primary platform for clearing campaigns, how do you anticipate the competition to rise?
I'll take this one. So looking at Google Trends, we're already seeing about a 10% increase in search volumes year on year. And that's now. So we're anticipating it being really competitive. So we highly recommend that if you are running clearing campaigns, that they begin at least 3 weeks before A-level results day. So you're getting generating those really good learnings ahead of clearing. And obviously you can utilize those when clearing actually starts. So yeah, we're anticipating it being competitive and average CPCs being quite high. It's also important to note that like the way people searching's changed. So we're seeing that people aren't just looking at specific universities. They're searching by course, but they're also looking at exactly what a university's plans are come September. So that's a massive driving factor in where they're choosing to go based on kind of what the plans are come September.
Fantastic, thank you, Brandon. We've got another question. It would be useful to see any key differences for channel use in different markets, e.g. with TikTok being so new. Are there any markets where take-up is still pretty low and therefore should be avoided?
Yep, so in terms of TikTok, it's very popular in the tier 1 advertising countries, especially in Europe. So you've got France, UK, Germany, Switzerland that I know is really popular in. Some of the other countries within Europe, it's not had too much take up yet. So within Europe, I'd say they're the kind of the key markets to focus on. And then obviously outside of Europe, obviously it's really, really popular in the United States, but there are lots of regions where it's still growing in popularity. So if you're focusing on Europe, I'd say France, Germany, UK, are the main ones you want to focus on at the moment, and then outside you've got the States, but they're kind of the key markets that it's growing in at the moment. Oh, and obviously it was India, but obviously not now. So they're the key markets I'd focus on.
Thank you, Brendan. Do we have any more at all? Any more questions at all? Okay, right then, if there's no more questions, then we will bring the webinar to an end. Thank you all for joining, we really appreciate it. And if you do need any other information, then please do get in touch.